we'll get a seat. It's a packed house, but as always, I'll ask some people some questions and see who wants to talk, especially after the debate just occurred. And of course, after Mallory McMurrow dropped out. So it seems like the enthusiasm, obviously, unsurprisingly, is still very high. So we'll see who wants to talk, and probably get rejected a bunch as always, but always worth a shot. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you. No pressure. I got a little YouTube, just interviewing people. I'm covering the election for a month.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate
we'll
it.
have to talk to our comms team.
Oh, you're on the campaign. Okay,
I'm
no
a
worries.
volunteer, so.
Oh, cool. So you probably have to ask them first to
I
speak
do
out of
not
match.
have permission, so.
Right, I figured. Well, thank you anyway.
But
Keep up
have
the
a
good
great
work.
time. Good
I
luck.
appreciate it.
Fair game.
That's what I'll do, right? I figure I was like, maybe they're standing. Those are exactly the wrong people to ask about. But you're doing a good job, though. Hey, how are you? No pressure. I got a little YouTube. Yeah, no pressure. How are you, sir?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. No pressure. I got a little YouTube. I'm covering the election for a month, so I would love to interview you about why you're here, what issue might be most important to you.
Okay.
You're the best. I appreciate it. So, yeah, what brought you out here? Are you a supporter of Abdul's?
I trying to decide what I'm going to do.
Interesting. So you're part of it's a solid 30% of undecided voters.
I'm probably not undecided anymore.
Did you like Mallory before she departed the race?
It was between Mallory and Abdul before.
Interesting.
And I hadn't decided.
You know, I'm glad to speak with you because some of the perception is that all of Mallory's or 80% of her votes are going to automatically go to Stevens. But
I think that that's unlikely, especially who knows how many people I really know. But amongst the people that I know, that is definitely not true.
Interesting. And what do they like about Abdul? They liked about her. Do they feel that he's a little more independent? I suppose.
Well, most of them are more progressive, and the question is how progressive. And the issue between Mallory and Abdul before was who's more electable in the general election. And most of the people that I deal with did not want to support Haley Stevens because she is
a bit disappointing on a number of progressive issues.
Well, not only that, but there's an argument to be made that she's really fundamentally pretty conservative, taking APAC money which she did to Andy Levin.
One of the most progressive members of the House, period. You know, yeah, good point.
Well, and to take APAC money to defeat a Jewish progressive who's intolerable to the law. She's also not very consistent in her positions, and we don't need inconsistency as Democrats.
Well put. So you're looking for integrity. You're looking for somebody who's truly a Democrat who has those values.
And I'm looking for a progressive. He checks most of those boxes.
And did you see the debate?
I watched the debate.
What do you think of it? Do you think Haley won or Abdul? Well,
Abdul represented my views very well.
That's my assessment too. Both of them were competent, but clearly the direction the Democratic Party is going and that most progressive support, Abdul said what they would agree with.
Well, in terms of the progressives, you're clearly right. I don't, one of the things about being a Big Tent Democrat, and I've always been a member of the Big Tent Democrat, is I don't know that you can say what Democrats stand for. And I think that's very important because that's a distinction between the MAGA crowd and who we are. We're not going to line up behind any one candidate and do whatever that candidate is.
Right. You don't want to take marching orders. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Then what issue is most important to you? Is it APAC and making sure that they don't have that control and more local?
Look, if there is affordability and Medicare for all those things that I worry about what's going to happen with my two kids who are now in their 30s and what kind of future do they really have. I mean, my life's pretty well set. I've got a fairly good life. I've lived the American dream. I've went from poverty to a fairly decent life. Those things aren't really available for them, and that's not right. That's not right.
Yeah, how are your kids doing? Are they able to stay afloat? Is it a lot more challenging with rent, with wages? Me too. Believe me, we appreciate that more than you'll ever know. And my mom reminds me this. I say to my mom, sometimes I feel like a loser. I'm 35 years old. She's helping out, and she says, it's you and 80% of this generation.
I think more like 90.
Yeah.
And I don't begrudge any of that. I'm glad that I'm there, and I'm sorry my parents couldn't see it. But it's a very different world. We're producing trillionaires.
Come again?
We're producing a trillionaire.
Right.
When
gets away from somebody.
There are people who work 3 jobs and can barely make it. That's just wrong. We shouldn't have that in this country. We begrudge people who need health care. We begrudge people who need food stamps. That's wrong.
Demonization, yeah.
And this whole demonization. Look, and one of the things that really bothers me about what's going on is Abdul happens to be a Muslim, but he's got this funny name, so they have to put radical in front of his name all the time. And it's nonsense. I mean, he's about as radical as Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Lyndon Baines Johnson, and Bobby Kennedy. It's a ridiculous label. I've read everything about him. There's nothing all that radical about him.
No.
They tried to do the same thing with Barack Obama. He wasn't a Muslim, and he was pretty conservative.
Right. I mean, Abdul's like a New Deal Democrat.
That's exactly
right. Right. And so they try to paint this brush. And are you, since Stevens dropped out, do you think Abdul is less of a chance, more of a chance, or do you think it doesn't make that much of a difference? Yeah, sorry, after McMurrow dropped out, now it's him versus Stevens. Do you think he has less of a chance, more of a chance, about the same?
I think it's close to the same. I think it'll be a little more difficult. Look, I mean, if you follow politics, there's this woman's vote. 5% of the population is going to vote for somebody just because they're a woman if they're in the right party. And now that's a factor, which is less of a factor when now was in. But my personal view is that in the primary, the Democratic Party in Michigan is much more progressive, and I think it stands a very good chance.
I think it's the direction that the wind is blowing, and you put it very well. Whereas these aren't really radical ideas. The Republicans can try, but they're practical, and it's just an economic safeguard in some regard for you to start a life.
Prior to Trump, they weren't even all that.
Right.
They weren't near radical. Trump made them radical. Trump has turned this country so far to the right that what used to be just kind of good progressive politics are now considered extreme. And unfortunately, he's a messenger, and it works. This notion that we progressive Democrats are actually communists. It's absurd. Asking for my mayor, it kicks up steam, and it has the effect of tearing the country even further apart. I don't know how much more that would be taken.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious. I want to ask you, what's being more of a Big Ten Democrat, how do you think Gretchen Whitmer has been doing? Were you disappointed by her sort of quasi-secret meeting with Trump where she pulled a hat in front of her face?
I've been a big supporter of Gretchen. I was a major contributor to Gretchen Whitmer, and I like Gretchen. She is a true politician, and while I disagree with some of the things that she's done, I understand that she was trying to do what she believed to be was in the best interest of Michigan.
Tightrope.
Well,
But
in
you
my
walk
mind,
wrong ends. Yeah.
Had she called me, I would have said, I don't understand why you would even think about trusting that guy. And I think she learned that lesson. But she is somebody who has struggled and worked very hard to work across the aisle. And the problem is that he's not across the aisle.
Right, they're so far gone, it's a different, right.
He is not to be trusted. And, I think that the Republicans are actually learning that right now.
Right.
So I don't want to speak badly of Gretchen.
But it's level-headed. Yeah, that's the thing. But she won a won the primary against Abdul, right? And she has the Democrats to thank for her position. She ran a strong general election campaign, obviously, but you still want to be on this side. You still want to be fighting against Trump alongside with your party. I thought she was a strong contender for president later on, but now that's the last of us being a bigger tent Democrat, but being more of a progressive and seeing the importance of these economic empowerment issues. Do you like anybody for president in 2028? It's a little early. Do you have a top 4? I don't blame you.
Here's my problem. With being a presidential candidate. I think I may be a jinx. I supported McCarthy. I supported McGovern.
Oh, 68. All right. 72. God bless you. You're in the trenches. Long time. Cool.
Since I was 10 years old.
Cool.
And I don't want to be a jinx, but this balance between electability and principle. I get it. But I'm no longer willing to make those compromises. At my age, I've decided I'm going to support who I want to support.
Good for you. Well, you look back at history, you supported the right people. It's like with the bumper sticker. Don't blame me, I'm from Massachusetts.
I have
right.
a pin.
Oh, you do?
I have an original pin.
That's very cool. That's worth some money. That is very cool.
I would never give it up.
No. It's a sacred thing for sure. That's just, I hear with McGovern, that was the first time they had primaries, or they had the primaries in '68. They had 5 or 6, but then they had almost 50 in '72. Do you know who won Michigan? Was it him or Wallace? Or I remember Wallace was like making a real. Wow, so Wallace won Michigan. That interesting.
Very embarrassing.
Yeah.
One of the most embarrassing moments.
How did he pull it? I guess he split the vote between Muskie and Humphrey and McGovern, and then he got the real rule.
I hate to say this.
What's up?
I hate to say this, but he got the racist vote.
Right.
There was a lot of racists.
There was a population. Then all you needed was,
You got to remember that was the busing era in Michigan. Politics. I've gone through a lot of very difficult political periods in my life.
Yeah. You've been in the trenches and seen it.
Well, and back then there were people running for county commissioners who were running on an anti-busing campaign.
Scary.
County commissioners have nothing to do
with
with
it.
So it was ridiculous.
But you're right, and that was that was the big social issue of the day. How to get attention. I mean, I admire Abdul because everything is practical to the U.S. Senate specifically. You're right. You see all these even now, nothing has changed. Were you an operative or an advanced person, or just did you volunteer? What's up?
Depends on which election you're in.
Okay, McCarthy.
Yes to all of them.
Very cool.
I got beat up in Chicago.
Oh, wow, so you're right there. Did you get tear gas and everything?
Yeah, I got beat up.
Oof. By cops? Probably the cops. Wow, good for you. Well, thank you for your service in a way.
3 hours.
What?
I was only there about 3 hours.
Hey, but that 3 hours, they drowned out Humphrey, and the whole daily fuck you or whatever. Mayor, it was the most important 3 hours of probably 1968.
Before anything happened.
Right, okay.
Literally, I got off the plane. I was in one of the first.
That's so cool. You're right there. That's, yeah.
And I've worked very hard for Gary Peters.
Cool. Done good work.
I worked very hard in the government, I worked very hard in the Obama campaign.
Cool.
It's been, I worked for Bernie.
Good for you.
Uphill battle.
Good to see your heart. Probably you were really choose the people who are most connected with your heart. You know,
Sometimes,
because they have less of an infrastructure, perhaps less of corporate
I just
financing.
wanted to make sure a Democrat was in.
Right, right.
Sometimes I just wanted to make sure that the Republican didn't get it. I would have done anything to make sure Joe Manchin didn't get elected.
Did well, you know, and this is the next step. It's things. It seems like for the recent history, Democrats have had a solid ability to get in. You know, it wasn't necessarily before with Rick Snyder or whatever in 2010, but now, and I don't see that electability being a huge gamble anymore. Anyway, not that he's less electable anyway, but it seems like you just need to get somebody, just get somebody who's not Graham Plattner, and they'll probably be good.
I agree with you. It'll be interesting to see if. I think the most interesting thing about this coming election is whether money will matter.
Right.
So there's no
Well
question
put.
that Haley Stevens will, through APAC, get a lot more money than it will ever be in the Will that be the kiss of death for her, or will it get her in?
Well, that's why I'm here too, because I want to go to an event of hers. I've been here for 3 weeks. She hasn't had a single event, nothing scheduled, no public anything. And I'm wondering, in today's day and age, where like the internet rules all, does the on-the-ground campaigning still matter? I would say yes, because Abdul went from 10% to probably winning. And I think that, I mean, McMorrow had a lot of events too, but he out-hustled, and he way out-hustled Stevens. And I'm curious to see, does the on-the-ground contact still matter?
I mean, I hope that it does. I think
Right.
that it does. I slightly disagree with your analysis about McMorrow and I mean, I thought she worked very hard. I think that her problem was she tried to straddle positions.
Yes.
And Abdul had his side staked out. Stevens had his side staked out.
Right.
And
You want integrity, right?
most of the air was gone.
No, I agree. I mean, and she did work hard and had a lot of events, but try as she might, the message just didn't. It just didn't catch. Me too, because she was a big rising star, and yeah.
I was shocked, and I can't figure. I have some guesses on
Why she what?
really dropped out.
Why do you think? Was it pressure by the Stevens people? Is she going to get something? I was surprised, because why not? Why not just go through? You
I
know?
will tell you. Did you read her?
What's up?
I'm not going to tell you what I really think about it, but did you read her? What she said about why she dropped out?
Yes, yes.
My view was that what she said was inconsistent with her dropping out. She had a wonderful piece about her daughter saying, it's not whether you win or lose.
That you do it. Yes, she always says it right, and she said that at 3 of her events, which means to go through all the way.
She was that consistent with her dropping out.
Now I want to spend more time with my daughter, right?
And so
Whereas my daughter telling me to stay in right. That's interesting.
I know because I'm involved in Democratic politics
Interesting.
that there was a lot of pressure put on her. I heard these rumors for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Wow, so there's real inside chatter about it.
I don't think anybody who's involved in Democratic politics had the words.
Why, for her, if she helps Stevens, why is that a net positive for her? Is it to endear herself to power players in the future? Like, it's, you know, the opposite would be you drop out, you endorse Abdul. She's talented too. She goes out and campaigns for him, and you know, later on for Congress or something, she'd be a logical choice. Right. Interesting.
But my view is that she was closer to Abdul's position.
That's what I thought too, right? And that's what a lot of people I spoke with. Again, it was between her and Abdul, and it was never really between her and Stevens. And you know, people, the AIPAC stuff I thought was a little unfair because even though she tried to get some, she never had AIPAC money and was not nearly as pro-Israel as Stevens was. But she never went all the way to align where progressives align. And I do always wonder, was walking that tightrope some sort of nod to some people in the establishment because she knew she was thinking and she wants to get something in the future.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. No politician, and I think Mallory's a pretty good politician.
She is.
No politician would drop out based on, don't worry, we'll take care of you in the future. We can, because you don't know those people are going to be around.
Famous last words, right? It always dumb. And that's why I wonder, like, if she did that just for that, it's like she's going to get screwed. It's rule number one in politics. And
you don't ever want to be labeled as somebody who dropped out of
No, and people respect you for even if she got 7% of the vote. That would still be hundreds of thousands of people voting for her.
And she was doing better, in my opinion.
I think right. And a good point. And the main bad polls, they were kind of inaccurate and they didn't poll properly. One was an internet poll where you can vote up to 8 times. So, obviously Abdul and the Stevens people had people just click over and over, but it wasn't. And that's why I thought the reality is she was probably somewhere between 10 or 15, which would have been respectable in a 3-way race. So I'm bummed because I have less things to do now. She had a ton of events. Now they're all gone. It's I just got to go to Abdul over and over, but I like him anyway. New York City. Bit of a distance. I used to do local TV news, which is interesting, but I wanted to cover the stuff I wanted to. So struck out on my own, and now I'm here. Well, good to meet you. I'm Josh, by the way. You're the best.
Bill,
pleasure. You had a great meet. I appreciate it. You're awesome. Oh, thanks for the interest. If you search Dodge, just my name, D-O-D-G-E.
We're sorry about the heat. Please make sure you're staying hydrated. There's drinking caps.
And then L-A-N space L-A-N-D-E-S M-A-N. And that's the title of my YouTube as well. So if you search that, you should be able to find the YouTube or search my name on YouTube. A few things come up.
And we look forward to with you all.
Well, I was just going to ask, keep in touch. Thank you. I think I might want to interview you after the results and everything. I appreciate it. All right, guys, you great another haha. What are you saying, DMV? I don't know what any of you guys. You guys are all sound psychotic. I can try to see if I can get a seat. Well, we had a good conversation. All you need is one. That's about it. But I'm gonna not able to stand. I can stand. Kuwait, it's really hot here, guys. It's like no AC or something. So it's hardcore. So I'm using this as a fan. Obviously, very well attended crowd. This is the day after the debate. It was interesting to speak to that gentleman. It was interesting to get that theory. I think it's probably pretty accurate. There was some sort of internal conversation for quite some time that something was going to happen. And she might have been thinking about it for the last 2 weeks. And it's odd. It's like everybody's dropping out, man. Janet Mills against Grant Plattner dropped out super quick. Whatever. Even if you're going to get 2%, I think you should just stay in. Quite personally. But sometimes people are promised deals that don't come through. She might have gotten that situation. I don't know. Hopefully, we'll start soon. Supposed to start at 6:50. Uh-oh, I lost the chat. Give me a minute, guys. I still have no chat. Bummer. Well, I'm sorry, can't see you. Top messages. No. This is so weird. I can't see any messages. Bummer. Well, sorry, guys. I can't see what you have to say. Usually I like to read your chats, but it won't let me get to chat. Hidden, don't hide chat. Top messages, I can't, weird. I was going to ask the chat, how do I find the chat? But I can't because you're the chat and I cannot see you. Oh well. Well, I'm going to have to trust what you're saying is relevant. I'm sorry I cannot see the chat right now at the moment. But we can still get some fun videos. We'll try to talk to some more. I thought it was about to start, which is why I stopped talking to the gentleman. But if not, I will talk to some more. You know, guys, I think I gotta leave because I can't. I like seeing the chat. If I cannot see the chat, okay, I see the chat. Cool, we're back. There's only 3 comments anyway. But all right, I see the chat. Chat is visible. I'm gonna try to ask some more people some questions. Hey, Mac and Cheese Bites, nice to have you. What are you even saying, DMV? Yeah, great. Another Hakata Hawk. What offensive? What are you even trying to say? We will ask people how they're feeling about the race. It's cool to get an undecided voter. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, thank you. No pressure. I got a little YouTube. I'm covering the race. I've been in Michigan for about a month. Would love to ask you why you're here or what issue might be important to you.
Sure.
You're the best. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm here to hear what he has to say. One of the cornerstones of his campaign that I'm very interested in his plan to implement Medicare for all.
So that's the key issue.
It is. You know, I'm a benefits professional, so I do employee benefits for a living, and I know how hard it would be to unravel the current benefits or, you know, medical insurance system. So I'm really curious what his roadmap for that would look like.
Do you think right now that what they have is working, or is there serious improvement?
No, it's horrible. I mean, obviously, it's a terrible system. It is, you know, dependent on your ability to have employment and have an employer who cares enough to provide quality benefits and that whole spectrum of things. But having said that, like, how do you unravel it? I mean, the whole premise of Medicare, I don't know if you know, do you know how Medicare works?
Not really. It's
Okay.
interesting to hear about.
So Medicare sets rates. So for example, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Michigan pays about 300 times the Medicare rate
Okay,
for
interesting.
different services.
Right.
So as a provider, right, it is in your best interest to partner with the insurance companies versus just being a Medicare, because unfortunately we have a for-profit healthcare system, which is at a disadvantage to everyone, basically.
Right. Quality care, yeah.
Absolutely. So how do you unravel that foundation of our healthcare system and move to something that would be much less profitable for the providers? You know, everyone wants to beat up the insurance companies. Don't get me wrong, they suck. But, sorry, I don't want to say that.
No, please say that. You can curse as much as you want. You're good.
But at the end of the day, it's the providers that are looking to make the money off of it. And so how do you get them incentivized to provide quality care while they're not still making the big bucks?
Because they have the other option.
Right. Well, in the umbrella of Medicare for all, like all of a sudden it's not a lucrative profession, right? You're just doing it for altruistic reasons. How do we bridge that chasm, right? So
that's interesting. Well, do you have any ideas for unraveling it?
I don't. I'd be running if I did. Right?
Sure. Well, I mean, the good thing is with Abdul, you know, he ran Detroit Health for a while, so I'm hoping.
So he has a foundation, but it's not just as easy as like, okay, let's get rid of the insurance companies and put that in place. There's all kinds of stuff that would need to happen. It'll be it's what do they say? It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah.
So it's a long process.
Right.
But we can't get there unless we start, right? So,
right. You know, that's interesting. Like it's interesting. You analyze it in a unique way to kind of really like think about, all right, what is the practicality part? But, you know, I mean, I suppose as you get a big movement, you pressure most of the Democrats for Medicare for all, and you just do massive legislative change to, I suppose, make. I wonder how you do it. Do you make private healthcare illegal somehow? Do you transition it? You know, and others like Mallory say the public option and have your cake and eat it too, which doesn't really get the care that people really need.
Absolutely. So it's a great you know soundbite, and it really brings people in. But it's, you know, how do you make that sausage, right?
Yeah. You know, I guess it would be a long-term investment, creating governmental entities or governmental entities that pay the private insurance, but they only function in some sort of state-owned capacity.
So when you think about it, the Affordable Care Act was definitely a stepping stone
Right.
towards that because it gave more people access to having the insurance,
Yes.
right? So that takes you out of the low compensation rates of
Right.
Medicare. It's people getting it's the providers getting that
Right.
higher rate. So it's got to be sort of a combination
Yeah.
of those things.
I mean, maybe the goal is stricter punishment and more oversight for the companies, whether it be private healthcare or whatever, that deny all these requests.
Oh, very true, very true. And stricter oversight in what they do with some of the how the insurance companies attribute some of the rebates that they get from pharmaceutical companies
Interesting,
and
yeah,
all the
yeah.
other money that they're sneaking under in their non-profit entities,
Right.
but they're scooping up all these funds from a variety of places.
Right.
So how do you bake that into the system too?
Right. Yeah. Interesting food for
Yeah, as
thought.
a very opinionated person.
No, you're awesome. Thank you. I'm Dodge, by the way. You're awesome. I really
Nice to
appreciate
meet
it.
you.
The sound is real bad. We can't hear you. Correct it because we certainly want to hear the candidate too.
Passion. Hey, Judy. Nice to have you. Careful what you wish for.
Alright, so members of the press, please meet by the exit sign at the end, and then our member of our communications team will take you to and yeah, thank you.
Right, everyone. Please put your signs up and welcome our next U.S. Senator.
Oh, hey, cool. There he is. Just walk right by.
Money out of? Money out of? Money in your?
Sorry, guys.
All right, fantastic. Y'all must be heating up this space. The pride and compassion we have for getting money out of politics, putting money in pockets, and finally guaranteeing Medicare for all. I'm clearly running for U.S. Senate because I got a name that's tailor-made for U.S. politics. But y'all, it shouldn't be this hard. Shouldn't be this hard to afford a second bag of groceries. Shouldn't be this hard to pay your rent. Shouldn't be this hard to ever believe you can own a home or stay in your home if you're over 65. Shouldn't be this hard to work the same job tomorrow that you worked yesterday and yesterday before. Shouldn't be this hard to see a doctor in the richest, most powerful country in the world. And it shouldn't be this hard to pay your taxes and know that that money's going to be spent on you and your kids instead of dropping bombs on the people. I was never supposed to run for office. That was not part of my life's plan. My folks gave me an 11-letter first name that's got sounds that come out of parts of people's throats. Most people don't know they have. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor because I could go 15 hours to my family's native Egypt. Or 15 minutes from where I grew up, not too far from here. And either way, I would cross a difference of 10 years in life expectancy. And I don't believe it should matter the color of your skin. I don't believe it should matter what you or your parents do for work. You deserve a long, healthy life. With the goal of trying to solve it as a doctor, only to realize that our healthcare system wasn't just not part of the solution, it was too often part of the problem. And so when we all graduated medical school, and yes, I did graduate medical school, rather than pursue medical training and a specialty, I went into public health.
Yeah, go public health!
And at 30 years old, I was appointed health director for the city of Detroit. The only problem was the city of Detroit at that point had lost its health department. I was hired to rebuild it after the state came through and forced the city into bankruptcy, privatized their public health department. We rebuilt it around the well-being of kids. Across my work in Detroit and in Wayne County, we thought outside the box about what public health could be. We built programs to provide free glasses for kids. A program that's now delivered upwards of 50,000 pairs of glasses across the state. If you were to go to Ohio, not that I recommend anybody go to Ohio. If you were to Ohio from here, you would cross just west of southwest Detroit. You would come upon this gigantic set of smokestacks. Looks like a skeleton city. It's got this weird, very large Pistons basketball in front of it. That's very large. The biggest polluter and the most polluted zip code in the whole state. Wanted to raise their emissions of sulfur dioxide every single time they got away. No problems at all. Despite the fact that the EPA had said there was too much sulfur dioxide in the air. So we started to organize with the local community. Together we forced them to invest $10 million of their own money to reduce their emissions when they had wanted to increase them. After the flood water crisis, we had every school, daycare, and Head Start tested for lead in the water. We, in Wayne County, put air quality monitors all over the county, 100 different locations, so you could get real-time information about the air you breathe. Built a program to provide new small businesses with free health insurance to de-risk them from the choice of becoming an entrepreneur. And when we found out that our county ranked number 8 for medical debt nationwide, we realized that we could eliminate it from pennies on the dollar. So we set aside $7 million to erase upwards of $700 million of medical debt for 300,000 families. Is that I love that work. Yes. And I'm never going to forget the day where the individual living in the White House froze federal funds. Y'all remember that? Feels like 10 years ago. It was really about only a year ago. And I'm sitting in my office trying to figure out how to make sure WIC checks go out to put food on the table for moms and babies. How to make sure that vaccines continue to go into arms and that people aren't turned away from our federally qualified health centers. All programs that were now on ice. And I get a notification on my phone that after his long career, our current U.S. Senator Garrett Peters is not seeking re-election. There's going to be an open U.S. Senate seat. And I had to ask myself, where's the fight for the public's health now? See, if I were to be elected, I'd be the first Democratic doctor elected to the U.S. Senate since 1969. First ever public health official ever elected to the U.S. Senate. Who runs public health for our country purposely takes his grandkids swimming in Schitt's Creek. I think we all could agree that we probably need a public health senator right about now. I did this once before. Back in 2018, Donald Trump had just been elected. I was 32 and never run for office in my life. I said I'm gonna go big or go home. I went big, then I went home. But we earned 340,000 votes. We got outspent 7-1 in that race, but we were 2-1 more efficient than the governor, 3-1 more efficient than the guy who's currently currently in Congress. And I said something in that race that I think folks weren't quite ready to hear. That's only proven more true now. Donald Trump is not himself the disease of our politics. He's the worst symptom of the disease of our politics. Special interests like AIPAC to buy and sell politicians in ways that leave them rigging the system against us. We pay more for all we have to buy, get paid less for the work we do, and watch as our tax dollars get misappropriated to buy bombs and tanks for other people's countries instead of schools and helping our own. Built around doing three simple things. Number one, we want money out of politics. Money in your pocket. Care for all. Let's talk about what that means. It's a crazy thing that in the year of our Lord 2026, I'm the only candidate running for U.S. Senate who's never taken a dime from a corporation to run a And when I get to the U.S. Senate, I'm looking forward to working with like-minded people to make sure that corporations and special interests can't buy our politics away. And what does it mean to put money back in pockets? Well, listen, I don't have to tell you all here in Michigan that unions are good. Unions built the 40-hour work week. Unions built the weekend even if I don't get any anymore. That unions built the fact that our kids get to go to school instead of going to work. And that if we are willing to stand with our unions again, if we normalize union organizing, that unions can do it once more and build the middle class that this country should be known for. With lower union participation and more billionaires, and I guess a trillionaire, than ever before. So let's talk a little bit about billionaires. Because here's the thing, if you're a billionaire, and I tax you at 8%, you know what you still are? Still a billionaire. Your kids are going to be rich. Maybe you could pay your fair share so that everybody else's kids get to go to good schools or use functional infrastructure. And I'm just going to say this, like, you won at capitalism, you won! Maybe everybody else could play too. So I think it is high past time for us to tax billionaires their wealth. To be a billionaire who explains to me what they... You good? It's a public health campaign, all right? I'm not gonna lie, we had a town hall where somebody collapsed in the audience, and I was the only one who saw it. So I was like, all right. You're good though, right? I have yet to meet a billionaire who can tell me what more they can buy with like more than $100 million. I'm like, what more do you want to buy? But you know what it is that they can buy? Power over the rest of us. And that's the only reason that they want to sustain that level of, because that's the only thing that money at that level can yet buy. And frankly, I think that's wrong. And frankly, I think you should be able to buy. Politicians. People talk a lot about affordability. And what's interesting to me is that affordability has become this watchword that everybody thinks you just say a lot of times, and then it makes you an affordability candidate. But it turns out you actually have to explain to people why things are unaffordable and what you're going to do about it. Now look, if we're serious about taking on the affordability crisis, we have to be serious about taking on oligopolies and monopolies. We've got to be serious about busting trusts and breaking up big corporations that have been able to consolidate themselves into becoming the only choices we have for you name the thing we have to buy. And so I believe in a Federal Trade Commission that actually shows up and does its work, and I intend to empower it to be able to I don't pay my taxes thinking, man, I can't wait for Israel to get another thinking, man, I really hope they rebuild that school across the corner. I really hope that they fill that damn pothole that I have to drive over every single day. So I think unconditional foreign military aid should be banned and made illegal in this country. Not to Jordan and not to Israel. Now look, I'm really proud of the work we did on medical debt. But it's a pretty wild thing that medical debt exists in the first place. So I think we need to abolish medical debt, and we need to abolish the possibility of falling into medical debt by finally guaranteeing every single person in this country health care through Medicare for all. All right? You propose a program to put glass kids or eliminate medical debt or provide people health care and get very serious people. I don't know why, but they all got side parts. Which is why I have a side part, because I want people to think I'm a very serious person. And they always look at you with this concerned, quizzical look. Doctor, how are we going to pay for that? You know what they never asked the general drawing up war plans to go to war and say, Iran? General, how are we going to pay for that? So when when I'm in the U.S. Senate, I can sit there with my side part and be like, General, how are you going to pay for that? Doctor, we got your money coming. To unnecessary, interminable, illegal wars and start to invest in things like healthcare and good schools here at home. Apparently we're still at war in Iran, right? Will they, won't they? We've spent, what, 500 billion? This is an estimate? I don't even know at this point, right? The number keeps growing. We're at war because there is one man who's made it his life's goal to make sure we fight that war for the better part of 40 years. And he happens to be the prime minister of a foreign government. Bibi Netanyahu has been pushing for this war for 40 years. And he finally found a dumbass big enough to eat. Every day. Let's ask ourselves what ultimately came of this stupid war. What ultimately came is that Israel got the opportunity to attempt to annex southern Lebanon. And we taught the Ayatollahs that they have a choke point on the world's energy supply, and we're currently paying $5 a gallon in gas. That's what the sum total of our tax dollars has been spent to do. But here's the part that pisses me off the most. This war was both illegal and immoral. But when it started, you had too many people on our side of the aisle being like, well, it's illegal. I'm like, why is it illegal? They're like, well, because we didn't authorize it. And you're like, okay, cool, so you're just mad about this on procedural grounds? So if you would have asked for your authorization, what would you have said? They're like, well, he didn't. I'm like, okay, so what if he asks you to fund it? What do you say then? Well, it's illegal. I'm like, I understand, but you don't want to say the immoral part. Why? Well, because you're afraid of one very large organization with a $100 million super PAC coming in and trump you in the next election. Now everybody's like, you always talk about impact. I don't know, they become the elephant in the room. When you spend $40 million trying to beat an opponent, of course people are going to talk about impact. Spending that kind of money for one U.S. Senate race, ask yourself where power sits in our politics and why we continue to fail to articulate that this war is both illegal and immoral, that our subsidies for genocide are both illegal and immoral, that our backing of apartheid is both illegal and immoral, and that our misappropriation of our tax dollars to kill other people's kids instead of investing our own is illegal and immoral. Antipathy for certain groups of people. No, listen, let me just be clear about something. I grew up not too far away from here in a community where I was blessed to grow up in about 40% Jewish community. I'm so grateful for that. I love Judaism as a faith. I love the Jewish people. I love the contributions that they have made to our country and our way of life, and I'm so grateful for that. But Judaism and the Jewish people are not the same as AIPAC and Israel. And understand. And I say this as somebody who's Egyptian American. And I would hate for somebody to think that my open criticism of the Egyptian government is tantamount to hating Egyptian people, because that'd be kind of weird. I don't want anybody to hold me accountable as someone who shares the ethnicity of the vast majority of people in Egypt. I don't want them to hold me accountable for the Egyptian government and the Egyptian military. And so we have to be clear that we can both love Judaism and the Jewish people and abhor the misappropriation of our tax dollars to empower an Israeli government that has committed crimes, genocide, and apartheid, and the special interest that has enabled them to do it. In fact, if we love people, we have to be willing to do both at the same time. And then there's the matter of the $252 billion now that we're spending on an agency that just shouldn't exist. Because look, I went up to Minneapolis. I used the word up on purpose. I went to Minneapolis at the height of Project Metro Surge. I wanted to see for myself what it looks like when our government misappropriates our tax dollars to lay siege to a city in our own country. And what I saw was harrowing. But maybe it's because I've actually run government agencies. But when a culture of impunity sets in, you can't just retrain that out of people. You can't just reform it out of people. That agency, ICE, cannot be retrained, cannot be reformed, it must be abolished. That doesn't mean that we cannot enforce immigration policy. That means that that should not come in the form of people who shoot people in the back of the head or in the face. It should not come at the cost of our Constitution itself, and it cannot continue under the next administration, and we will stand up. You're wrapping me up, right? And yeah, I want to reflect on this moment. See, the establishment's taken to calling me dangerous. You heard that? Dangerous. And I always ask them, I'm like, all right, so did you go talk to the people who got debt elimination letters? Do they think I'm dangerous? What about the kids who are wearing glasses and can see the blackboard? How about them? Am I dangerous to them? How about the families who have to breathe on the wrong side of a smokestack, who we were finally willing to stand up to? Am I dangerous for them? What about the folks who finally have Narcan access, or the folks who finally have health insurance? Do they think I'm dangerous? I'm not dangerous if you're someone who needs government to work for you. But if you're Chuck Schumer, damn right I'm dangerous. Commemorated our 250th anniversary. It was a moment to really take stock of it. And I'll be honest with you, I love America. I really do. I know what my life would have been but for the accident history that allowed me to be born in America. I know personally what America can do for somebody. I lived that life. The crazy thing to me, though, is I also knew that not 20 miles away from me, there were kids whose families had been here for far longer than mine who never got the opportunities that America gave. And the future that we deserve, that we need, that we have to fight for in America is the America where all of her children get the America that I got. That they're not denied the rights, the privileges, and the opportunities of America because of the color of their skin or where they grew up, because of what their parents did for work, because of how they pray or who they love, how they identify. That America is America for all of the things now. There is a sordid history that we have to reckon with. Chattel slavery, the destruction of native peoples on this land, the lost Reconstruction, Jim Crow, the denial of basic rights to live in, even now. But what makes America America, the unique thing that this place does better than anyone else, is our capacity to correct. Because for as many of the sins of this country that have existed, the unique thing is that people took it upon themselves to look those sins in the eye and say, we can do better. America doesn't correct on its own. It's not self-correct. America corrects because inside of our DNA there is a system that allows good people with courage to step up and correct. And as we think about the past, the question for us is not of what we can change of the past, because that's behind us. It's what we do out of the past to build the next 250 years. And right now we have an opportunity, reflecting on the past and its mistakes, and on the future we yet can build, to do that work of correcting. We live in an America where too often some don't get the basic things of a dignified life while others are yielding trillions. We live in an America where it still matters where you grew up or the color of your skin. We live in an America where there is open discrimination against people because of their basic biology. And yet we have an opportunity to do something about it. Right now, the forces of power and money are arrayed against us. They want politicians who will go along to get along. The ones who will take the corporate check and do the corporate bidding, because it's just easier to do that way. You get to get a fancy title with zero impact on your country except for to precipitate its continued decline. But the other choice that we have is in America where people come together to put themselves back in the center of our politics. And I know it's kind of old-fashioned, but I gotta tell you, my parents immigrated. I got 2 little girls at home, ethnically half Egyptian like me, ethnically half Indian like their mom, where they get the looks about. And those little girls are growing up in America where they have fewer rights than their immigrant grandparents have. But we have ideals here. My parents, their grandparents took a bet on those ideas. We want these truths to be self-evident that all men, should say people, are created equal. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. To decide that we are going to do the work. In this race, we've only got less than a month. But it's not about how much time you have. It's about how much of yourself you're willing to put in your time. And we have a choice in this election. It couldn't be more stark. A party that continues to bow to corporations and special interests who want to use our government to advance their aims against us, to pick our back pockets for our basic needs, or a party where we finally stand up for those ideals. We put ourselves into our politics. We center people again. We fight for working people. We guarantee health care. We invest in ourselves and our infrastructure, where we dignify education again. That's the choice we have yet to make. And we're going to make that choice in the month. So I'm asking you here right now. If you've ever thought to yourself now, I really wish, when I look my kid in the eye or my grandkid in the eye, that I can tell them that their lives are going better than mine, I really want that for them. I really wish that when they ask me what I did in this moment, that I have a good answer for them. I hope that you find that answer in this movement right now. I hope that you're willing to put yourself back into our democracy. To make the investment of a politics where instead of anger at a screen, we engage in empathy at a human being. Where instead of scrolling through our frustrations, we knock them at a door. Where instead of thinking I've got nothing I can do here. We've already lost. We believe that I have everything in front of me. We have yet to do this. That's the opportunity in front of us right now. That's the opportunity I hope we stand up and grasp. That's the opportunity America was built for. And that's the one that we built in 250 years from now, where I hope that the people who come after the people we see will look back and say, those folks fought so that I could have the dream that America was always supposed to be. The dream my parents built. My name is Abdul. I hope I can believe it. Thank you.
Yes, I'm a Maverick rural supporter. I've already voted. I need Dr. Abdul to convince me to slow on my ballot. My friends, my family, and my neighbors need to know this.
What's your name?
I
Sydney?
am Sydney.
Sydney, thank you first of all for coming out here today. Thank you. I shared a really lovely conversation with Senator Primarh the day. I know what it's like to run a really, really passionate campaign, and I've been there before. I know it like intimately. It is one of the memories of my life that will be singed into my heart for the rest of my existence. Because part of what makes this so hard is that you stand in front of folks in your life and you ask them for their commitment, for democracy, for their time, for their money. And when it doesn't work out, you feel like you're letting them down. So I wanted to reach out to her just on the human level to tell her that A, she had an amazing day. B, she's super talented, she's got a great for and C, right, as much as we have some policy differences, there's so much more we agree on than we disagree on. And among the things we agreed on is that APAC shouldn't be able to dominate our politics. Corporations shouldn't be able to dominate our politics. Chuck Schumer should no longer be Senate leader for anything. Still want to get on my before. We'll have that conversation later. But we've agreed on so much more. And the way that this race is shaping up is that it's a very clear contrast, not between two candidates, but between two different visions of what our party should be. APAC has dropped $40 million. You see the ads. In the beginning, there were ads lying about my opponent's record, puffing it up in ways that discount the fact that she voted to expand ICE's budget and to thank them. She voted to honor the life and legacy of Charlie Kirk. But you saw those ads, and then they turned negative last week. And they didn't turn negative on policy. We disagree with him on Medicare for all. We disagree with him on physical. It was, we're going to cherry pick an op-ed that he wrote one time to insinuate certain things, or that he had a critique of a political opponent, or that his name shows up in a lawsuit between two other people, from people he never worked with, at a place he never worked. And then they're running an ad after ad after ad after ad. It's the most cynical kind of politics. So cynical. And then you all probably watched the debate yesterday. But there's a politics where you build a movement based on ideals that you fight for that are bigger than you. And there's politics that says that I'll take any comer who has a check and I'll pay them back on the back end when I'm in office. Because here's the thing, $40 million of spending doesn't come for free. They're not just doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. They're doing it because they know that there's going to be a favor on the back end, and we've seen where that favor goes. And we understand that we're the ones who pay that. We, our taxpayer dollars, that are supposed to help us. So it's a contrast between two visions, not just two candidates. So I would ask you to support me because this is a movement built by people for people against corporations and special interests who dominate our politics for too long. That is beyond the cynicism of what politics is told we can be. And here's the thing that hurts me the most. I'll be honest with you. I don't care much for the job. I really don't. Like, I'm gonna have to hang out with Lindsey Graham. For me, the only reason I have the job is the work. I never pined for a title. The only title I ever wanted was life. And so I don't understand why you would sell your integrity to get a job that then means you can't actually do anything that you intended to do with the job simply because you have a title and a fancy office, and then you have to sleep with yourself at night and wonder how many people's lives did I destroy because I wanted this job enough to be corrupted by it. So, look, I knew it was in for me. I understood it. I was in an interview earlier today. Somebody was asking me, like, well, you know, is it politically advantageous? Like, Palestine. I was like, that's the wrong question. The question is it the right thing? That's the question. Is it the right thing? Where people engage in politics to get something else done rather than to advance themselves up some ladder, selling their soul in the process. I hope that I can do it.
How you doing? My name is James.
Hey, James.
I'm from the great state of New Jersey, so I'm all the way up here to ask this question. I'm a student out in DC, and I'm excited to be glad that I'm out here, and I'm just really passionate about this campaign. So,
You came all the way here to be a part of this campaign?
to meet you in person, I've seen what you do so well.
I'm so grateful that you're a part of this. All right, we're gonna help.
So, really quick question. So, I'm as much a student, I'm a young person, so I'm trying to get involved in politics. And a lot of other people are feeling cynicism. It seems like the system is not really working for the average Joe. It's not working, it's really plaguing our average Joe. And I know, I'm very excited, I'm so glad that you are standing up against corporate PAC money and everything else. But it feels like the Senate, the report, the House, it's quite corrupt. So I'm curious, what systemic change will you fight for, and what will you do to change the system better for everybody?
You've got a lot more lighting on. Thanks, Reed. You've got a lot more lighting on this than I do. Statistically, I'm 41, so like, you know, I'm in epidemiology, so we think in these terms. I'm like halfway. Right? Going at the pace that I'm going, probably a little bit. But you're probably 20-something, early 20-something. 19. It's yours. And I'll be honest with you, I got 2 daughters, I told you. And I don't spend as much time with them as I'd like, but the only thing that justifies that to me is that I hope I'm building something that enables them to be fully comfortable, not just themselves, but alongside all their sisters and brothers. And anything we build for you is something you're going to turn around and build for them. Somebody asked me one time, they're like, what's the like, beating heart of what you're trying to do? Is like, listen, I want in America where we think of all of our kids as all of our kids. And I think if we did that, the world over, the world would be a very different place. There are a lot of folks your age who would be caught dead if we lived around. And I understand the nihilism. But you gotta just gotta understand, for those of you who are older than James, if you're 19 years old, that means you were born in what, 2007? That was the year I graduated college. Way older. But that means that you were born in a time when the iPhone was ubiquitous, when high-speed internet was everywhere. You were a year old when you or your family or a neighbor lost their home in the worst financial catastrophe in modern history.
Yeah.
You were born into divorce. You watched Donald Trump descend that escalator when you were, what, 7? And he's been a fixture in our political reality since your childhood. And meanwhile, huge internet companies have figured out how to harvest your attention through your eyeballs and your eardrums your whole life. And your social experiences are halfway transacted through a screen because that's how they want it to be, because at least then they can serve you ads which you probably really like. So for a lot of folks who are a little bit older, I want you to think about where that nihilism comes from. I mean, when I was James' age, I was living in this reality where, like, internet was barely a thing. I was actually 19 when the Facebook didn't happen. The internet was still cool, like we poked people, we didn't know why. It was there then too. So to not be nihilistic is an option, and I appreciate you doing that. But I also think there's some reality that we all have to check ourselves, which is when you talk down to young people, or you tell them what they really ought to do, when they don't see answers to the big questions they're asking in a movement, do not be surprised when they don't become part of that movement. It's just rationalism. And to your point, when there's so much to be nihilistic about, a few tweaks around the edges aren't going to cut it. Because the whole system feels broken. So there's a reason that my message isn't Medicare for all, money in your pocket, money out of politics. There's a reason I say money out of politics first. Because the central corrupting feature of our politics right now is the power of money to buy politicians so that government is captured by them, not for us. Consensus, meaning the public all agrees with something, and then there's a political consensus all the way over here, meaning both parties agree on a different thing. The difference is usually somebody's money. So why is it that the vast majority of people believe that we ought to have guaranteed government health care? And both parties swear up and down it's impossible. It's not because they're smarter than us. It's not because they're more realistic than us. It's because of the impact of pharma money, of insurance money, of hospital money, buying a bipartisan consensus in our politics. Why does the broad public agree that we should keep our money here instead of sending it over there to kill people there? But then our politicians all agree that there should be a bipartisan consensus that all of our foreign policy should be dictated to us by a country of 10 million people. Well, because APAC will spend huge amounts of money if you're ugly like me and you speak out of turn, beat you. And you're seeing it play out on TV every day. So we've got to get money out of politics. But here's the thing. Not only do we got to get money out of politics, but people who tell you that you got to play that game to win don't understand the stakes. The way you get money out of politics is to beat money, force it to heal, and then get money out of politics. Without trying to say this. We ask young people the wrong question. We always ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? As if your profession defines you. I think that's a bad question. I think the better question is, what do you want to change when you grow up? And then, how do you want to change it? I think you know what you want to change. How you want to change it is different. Talk to a lot of young people. And there's this culture in the internet where you're constantly bombarded by images of people doing something really well. And when you see them doing something really well, what you don't see is all the times they did it when it wasn't really well. And so there's this idea that people are just instantaneously talented at something, or not. And what it does is for people who aren't instantaneously talented, it makes you think that talent is just given. It's not. The most important thing you can do at your age is learn how to master craft, whatever craft is. Whatever your craft is. Like I'm an artist, it's a craft. Like I make great coffee, it's a craft. If you're like, I want to be a public speaker, craft. Leader, craft. Right? Shoes, craft. Whatever it is, I want you to be a student of craft. Find out why people do something really well. Figure out what really excellent is. And then be humble enough to do it enough times where you're not very good at it, so that you can make it with efforts. Like excellence at anything is the ability to make it with efforts. And what it tells you is somebody did it when it was very effortful a lot of times because they wanted to be a master. Figure out what your craft is, how you're going to change the world, and then figure out what you want to set your craft against, and then go out and do it. And do not trust the internet when it tells you that some people are just godly talented, and everybody else is not, right? Instead, you just invest in discipline. Just enjoy what you do. Find that thing that makes your heart sing when you're doing it, and do it as many times as you can, so you get really good at it, and then do it.
We have to get a go to the next event. So we're going to finish here. But please hold your seats. We're going to get on back door and then get on. Thank you so much.
One last thing. We got about 27 days. 27 days. I'm going to ask you three things. Okay? Number one, we have a hard time. We're back on hard time together. We ran out for a while. We brought that out. So pick up a yard sign. But don't just pick up a yard sign and put it in your yard. I want you to be the yard sign. So what I need you to do is I need you to think about 5 people.
Jesus, PFC, you're a piece of work.
You can talk. Look at you. That's an hour's Reach out to them and just share what you saw and what you experienced and what it means to you. That's one of the most important things you can do. Number 2, if you have not signed up to volunteer with this campaign, our folks get you signed up today. Please, it's not about how much time you have, it's about how much of yourself you put in your time. Y'all already came and spent time in the sweltering basement. You've already done the hard work. So I'm asking you to put in some time to volunteer with this campaign. We need you out there knocking on doors. The only way to make their money is with the men. Because that means we got to put ourselves into it.
What are you talking about? Jesus Christ. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck is it? What the fuck that means? You sound insane.
Movements like this are powered because people believe it. And I need you to take this moment, this feeling, and whatever happens in August, whatever happens,
Can't read.
whatever happens after that, I want you to do this.
I'm illiterate.
Because if you won't be motivated about what can happen in the future, that is the lifelong part of our business. So just hold this thing. Don't let it die. Okay? They're going to try and get it out of you. They really will. You're going to see that attack that so many times, you're like, keep it alive. Alright? Keep it alive. Because if you are going to hand this place off to our kids and our grandkids, it's not the thing that we're going to do. Believe that you really do have it. You can win if you're willing to put yourself there. So much fun there.
You already got a personal message from them.
No, he's got it. Here.
Great question. I came from New York, so but you're a little further. You're a little more south, so you beat me. Yeah. Oh, you took. I drove, but I'm here for like a whole month.
Okay, good.
So I took like a week to do it, and I stopped at like Cleveland, Buffalo, hung out for like 3 nights each. So yeah, I admire your commitment for like actually flying. That's hardcore.
I mean, I don't look at our hair. I don't think we're curly-haired people, right?
Where's he going next?
Yes, sir. What is it? Operational security.
Oh, fair enough.
All right, guys, please subscribe. Appreciate you all watching. You gave a great speech, a lot of enthusiasm, and I think what the moral of the story is, talking to people who used to like Mallory, a lot of people are liking Abdul. So the myth that a lot of the votes will go to Stevens, if you actually go on the ground to talk to people, you realize that's not the case. So I think so far I've spoken to 7 people who said they liked Mallory and now are voting for Abdul. So, it's interesting.
A lot.
Yeah, right?
The same thing happened at the convention.
You got that vibe.
Yeah, well, I spoke to people, and we were
Interesting.
sitting there waiting, and the guy in front of us was like, yeah, I'm a Mallory guy. Then Mallory spoke, then Abdul spoke.
Right.
He turns around, I'm an Abdul guy now. I mean,
Well, that's what it was like
across
too.
the
Like
board.
when I went to her event, like I have YouTube, so I'm covering this and trying to go to all their stuff. Although Mallory and Abdul are the only ones to have public events.
Yeah, of
but,
course, yeah.
But what they would all say is, even when she was running, was I like her, but I really like Abdul too.
Yeah.
Like almost unilateral. And
Yeah.
not a single one was like, I also really like Stevens.
No.
Not a single. So that, like, I think it's mythical, and I like that poll saying that she's going to get most of them is weird because it's not what I find at all.
Especially after the debate, like if people actually watch the debate, it's
Right, exactly. So glad some people see the reality.
You do it over here?
Here, we're gonna go take. Okay, we'll follow the tracks. Apologies. Just making sure all right, so you guys can follow me. Clear my own.
That's good to do a little press. Thank you. I appreciate that. I got these for like $30 in Hamtramck. It's like that's the deal of the century. You know, you can see it like the paint's chipping off. Like you can see the poor quality, but it still gets notices. So that's what counts. I appreciate it.
Can't rock gators.
Yeah, well, the fake gator. I couldn't rock real gators. That's like I don't want to actually kill an alligator. But like, right? Easier said than done. That's why I always say to people like, it's $30. It's fake gator. I promise. I'll never wear anything real. That feels nice. This is a Pescaco, guys.
All right, we're gonna do like a half circle. So you're right here, and if you guys want to kind of.
Hey, Mr. King, can I shake your hand? I'm a huge fan of yours. Good to meet you. That's cool, Sean King. Starstruck. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You're saying the same thing. I always make sure they're $30, fake gator, not real. Thank you for noticing. I like your tattoos. Those are cool.
Thank you.
Badass.
We're gonna do a quick gaggle with legacy media first. We're gonna do it like right here, and then we can get to the diversity on there.
I like your vintage jacket. That's badass.
$30.
Nice. Nice. 80 style. It's okay, POC. Still love it.
everybody. Hey, everybody. We got about 15 minutes for this portion. Anybody who'd like to start?
I do. How you dressed up today? I know. Well, so did I. I want to ask you a healthcare question and an immigration question.
On healthcare, I'm not going to ask you how you pay for it. I'm going to ask you, have you sketched out how much on Medicare for all plans and cost, and on immigration enforcement, if you're able to apologize, what is your plan for replacing it to do the work that ICE is supposed to do? And all the stuff it's been doing.
Yeah, I have traced it out, and the answer is less than you currently pay for healthcare in America.
You have a dollar figure because the government is able to use the tax.
Absolutely. The thing that we have to remember is I'd rather look at it as the per individual cost.
Okay.
Everybody likes to be like, oh, it's going to cost X amount of money, right? But that's a meaningless number to most people. The question for most of us is, how much do we pay for an average family for health? So your deductible goes from an average of $4,000 to zero. Your premium goes from an average of about $1,500 to zero. Your copay goes from, let's say $15 a visit to zero. And instead, what you're doing is you're paying slightly more in FICA, right? That is less than what you would have paid both out of pocket and ID.
But what is the overall cost of the taxpayers are paying here?
I'm not going to give you that number because it's going to be used against you, because you're going to say he wants to spend X amount of money in taxpayer dollars, and it's going to be meaningless to most people because again, we already pay 20% of our entire economy on healthcare. So the right answer, the real answer is for me, or you, what does it cost us as individuals? That's the real calculus that most people are asking. And so long as you're paying less for more durable healthcare, I think this is a great trade-off. So look, at the end of the day, I would rather us think in numbers that they ask themselves about day to day as they sit at their kitchen table and ask how much it's going to cost. So I'm just not going to give like a big dollar number because it's meaningless in the sense of
I want to make sure we get to everyone here.
Can I just piggyback on that? One of your school districts told me that you were like kind of the backbone of earning this Medicare for all plan, like the author, very involved with creating it. Is that true? And if that is true, you sort of have these kind of numbers at your fingertips.
I wrote a whole book. We've estimated this number, right? I'm just saying that as a matter of the question of what matters for us, the question that most people are asking is you guys ask the question of how many trillions of dollars, right? And then you write how many trillions of dollars, and then Mike Rogers is going to be like, he wants to tax you to spend X number of trillions of dollars. He's not playing that game.
How about the
I just don't think the question is actually relevant.
How involved were you?
Yeah, very well. We worked really hard with the senator on this plan. I was proud of the plan that put together. There's a number of different iterations, right? And there's a number of different ways that I can walk. Look, the real question that most people are asking is, what am I getting and what am I saving? Right now, the average person, let's say you're a W-2 employee, you're paying between you and your employer probably $1,500 to $2,000 for the average family of four, let's say. You've got a deductible that's about $4,000, which is the money you have to pay to get the healthcare you already paid for, plus co-pays, plus co-insurance. Right. That's what it looks like for you right now. Under Medicare for All, you get guaranteed coverage, cradle to grave, without a premium co-pay or deductible. Yes, you're going to pay a little bit more in FICA. You are. But for that, you end up getting durable health care that you cannot lose with no network. That is the trade-off that most people are asking, and that's what I'm focusing on.
Following the debate last night, your opponent is touting a new poll. I believe it's the first poll that's been conducted since this race has been a two-person race. It shows
Do you know who funded it?
by a point. But do you read anything into those numbers, and are you expecting some type of vote coming out of this debate?
So I'd love to know who funded it, right? Because when you oversample a particular group, like way past what is scientifically credible, it tells me that you want to tell a story. And I certainly understand why my opponent would like to tell a story about how she instantaneously overcame a bump. The reality of it is that I think that's just not how politics works. So you can have AIPAC do a poll for you that tells a particular story that you can then give to your supporters so you can finally raise some money. I just don't take it very seriously. I don't think so. So let's see. Look, I'm looking forward to an objective poll that is done by a credible news organization that will tell us where this race is. Until then, you know, you take every poll with a grain of salt that magically appears. So yeah.
APAC has been around for decades. Why do you think it's playing such a big role in your specific race?
I think it's because I have been very direct about my position believing in equal rights and peace, dignity, self-determination for Palestinians and Jewish Israelis alike. I think I don't pull my punches about the fact that there's an opportunity cost to the money that we send abroad to drop bombs on other people and their kids. You know, they've called me the most dangerous candidate for the U.S.-Israel relationship. Now, the rejoinder to that is because of his ability to connect domestic and foreign policy. I'm a doctor. Like, I'm not a foreign policy guy. And a lot of people like to, you know, argue that I'm somehow running on foreign policy. I ran for governor back in 2018, governor, where you had no role in foreign policy. I ran on Medicare for all. This is what I do. I try to give people health care through my whole career. And the point I'm just trying to make is, when we sign up to send our money abroad to do bad things to other people, we don't have money to do good things for our own. And I just think that's really important to say now. That is existentially dangerous for the argument for continuing to fund a rogue state. And, you know, I don't pull punches. So I just want folks to understand that when you see that issue over there, it's not an issue over there only. It's also an issue in the back there. So when you look at your kid's school and you say, man, why aren't we rebuilding this? You got an answer.
So you're sort of America first.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely America first. Because I'm running for Senate in Michigan. Like, I'm Michigan first. I want my money spent in Michigan. I don't want my tax dollars being sent abroad to do bad things to other people. I want it sent here. I want it spent here. So I'm not afraid of that. And I actually hate the idea that that label was taken by them. Now, I'll tell you this. That doesn't mean that I don't want to invest in things like food and healthcare abroad. You know why? Because if you make sure that people can live dignified lives where they are, then they don't have to brave trying to cross the Darien Gap to come here. If you can stop an epidemic, like, say, Ebola or hantavirus, then you don't have to deal with an epidemic here. That's just smart policy. What I don't want to do is send war abroad, or bombs abroad, or tanks abroad. I want to keep my money here for those schools. Hey, John. It's been a minute, man. How are you?
Yeah, okay. It's been a long day. This is probably a side part question. It's a sort of principle versus pragmatism. Let's assume you get elected, and you're in the Senate, and like-minded candidates get elected, and the Democrats also control the House. Healthcare comes up, and they say, Senator, love your passion. We can get enough Republican votes to extend the Obamacare subsidies. But that means they're not going to get the and you know how the system works. You help people. With reinstating the Obamacare subsidies would help people, but you might not get a chance to vote on your principle for months, if maybe years.
Let me offer an analogy here. Okay, we want to climb Mount Everest. We will not have achieved our goal until we climb Mount Everest. But right now, like, we've fallen into a ravine. Right? They just cut Medicaid and ACA subsidies. Like, we're in a ravine. At this point, we just got to get back to base camp. I understand that. But I also understand that we can't say that we've declared victory until every single person in this country is guaranteed health care. And I understand that there are steps along the way. So making people's Medicaid whole and their ACA whole obviously is something that we need to do. I just reject the idea that we can't do both. You know what I mean? And I also reject the premise that we would get to a point where we would have won the conversation far enough that the answer is all we can do is get back to where we were. Because if we're successful, it's going to be because we have built a party and built a movement that is able to win the conversation for folks, where it's not enough just to get to where we are when we know that we can guarantee healthcare. So my job, right, and this is the thing I think a lot of folks miss about the job. It's not just a procedural job. You're not just a single vote. Your job is to use your platform to have a conversation with 350 million people who elect all of us about what we can actually have. So yeah, my job, the day I get elected, is to do two big things. Number one, throw as much sand in the gears into this administration and the terrible things that they're doing, corrupting our political process, while laying the political groundwork to get elected somebody who is ready to pass Medicare for all on day one. Now, if we can climb Mount Everest in one fell swoop, amazing. If we can't, let's see where we go. But I understand that our responsibility is to get as many people health care as we can, to break the power of the corporations on our healthcare system, and to empower people in their lives without having to worry about falling into medical debt. So look, it's not even a pragmatism question. It's a, do you want people to have healthcare? We're going to get as much as we can, and that starts with the political conversation that we lift up starting in campaigns like this.
And if like-minded people, including some of those, some of those candidates who would say, they're going to screw us if we do that. They're not going to give us our vote.
Yeah, that's the same old broken politics.
Well, they love us to be the new people. I mean, the new people who come in, some of the Democratic Socialist candidates who say, we have to get votes on our stuff, because otherwise they're going to do the same old thing to us.
So, I mean, I guess the question is like, how do you think democracy works? You know, it's like,
The moment a lot of people argue it doesn't.
well, that's a bigger question. We got a bigger problem. But democracy works because people vote for the things they want. And if we can build a political consensus around having Medicare for all, we can have Medicare for all. We really can. So I just reject the notion that somehow we're going to elect the people who want to get Medicare for all, but we're not going to have a political consensus for Medicare for all. I just think that we can get there. And my job is to prove it, right? Like, this is work that we have yet to do, conversations we have yet to have, town halls and rallies and, one-on-one conversations that we have to have over the course of the next several years. And my job is to go have them.
Is anyone who hasn't asked a question yet? All right.
I just want to go back to my.
Unfortunately, we do have to wrap
replace
here.
ice?
How do you replace us? Yes, you did ask that. I opened it.
Yes.
So, look, right now, I just want you to go back, let's say, 25 years. Did ICE exist? Did we have as much of an immigration crisis?
No, it's debatable, but I see
So
where you're
what
going.
you're saying here
I
is,
grant that.
yes, what we're saying here is that ICE is not actually necessary to prevent an immigration crisis because we just made a point in history where there was no immigration crisis and there was no ICE. So we could imagine a world where we could address a lot of our immigration challenges by securing our southern border, by investing in a court infrastructure to create a clear pathway to citizenship for folks who built their lives here and been law-abiding citizens, and then have a much smaller unit that is focused on immigration enforcement under the legitimate oversight of the Constitution and the basic laws of our country.
So you envision a smaller agency that's created from scratch to do the work that ICE is supposed to do?
That is supposed to enforce immigration policy in very particular circumstances, rather than trying to make a show of attacking the concept of immigration on its own terms, which is what ICE is. ICE exists to make an argument to the American public that all immigration is bad. That's the same reason, for example, that they're making people go back to their country of origin to apply for permanent residency, which makes zero sense. Because the only reason you want permanent residency is because you built a life here, right? Permanent residency. This whole administration is attempting to weaponize government against the idea of immigration. That's what they're doing. ICE is just the most flagrant part of that. Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
All right,
Appreciate
thanks,
your
everybody.
Oh my God.
John, it's an honor to meet you.
I like the whole like thing. Bro. Are you going later? In the deep end?
We have a few creators.
Hey friends. What's up?
We'll start
Hello.
with Allison.
Still the best shoes, man. Thank you.
Hi,
Hi.
nice to meet you. My name is Allison Alexander.
Hi, Allison.
So I own an infant feeding clinic right up the street here. I'm a lactation consultant, so healthcare is obviously at
You
the
get to spend
forefront.
time with babies.
All the
day.
babies, right? So do you remember, right, that's like the best time. Do you remember like bringing that fresh little newborn home like for the first time and just being terrified of this life you have to keep alive, right? Like that gravity.
Okay, great.
You.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter like how you're feeding them, but you've got to get them alive.
It's like day one, you're like, I'm ready to go.
Yeah, you think that.
Day 8, you're like,
You're in the journey.
I'm dying.
Yes.
I can't stay awake.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do next. I will say this though, the most peace I've ever felt is sitting with my infant on my shoulder in a rocking chair at some unnamed hour in the middle of the night and just falling asleep together. That is like truly nirvana on earth.
So you're working in public health during the 2022 recall for the baby. So Abbott obviously
Yes,
invested
it's
a $500 donation,
Yeah, so the two of us
and
kind of
that
like
resulted in the DOJ
I thought you
case
texted
against
me
them.
right.
So
Such corruption.
right, that is at the center of what we're dealing with here. We have an outbreak in Michigan right now, a parasitic outbreak. There's so much going on for new families to kind of grapple with. So when you're looking at WIC, when you're looking at formula, when you're looking at not just getting the money out of politics, but how are we going to be holding these companies accountable? I mean, Abbott is also donating to Haley Stevens. So, like, to me, it's unconscionable that you're taking money when you can put a price tag on an infant life to make that accountability go away. So, what would you do in the case that you go to Washington to hold these companies accountable for lead in the water, air, formula, like breast milk's amazing, but the reality is working families in America have to deal with this contamination.
Yeah. So, I worked in public health most of my career. When we don't do our job, bad stuff happens. And it's a thankless job, but it's a mission critical job.
work closely with Annie
And
as well, okay?
what you're describing are end arounds to the political accountability process.
Yes.
One of my jobs in the U.S. Senate is going to be to offer an end around for accountability, which is the investigation process. And so, I make, obviously, the number one committee I want to serve on is Health Education Record and Pensions, which situates you in a position to be able to really investigate a lot of these things. Now, the thing I offer is I'd be the first ever public health official in the U.S. Senate with a level of expertise around how the system is supposed to work, where we can haul folks up and hold them accountable that way and bring them to accountability in public in ways that creates a public outcry and public calls for accountability. Right? That's one of the key things we can do while we're working to get money out of politics. But so long as people want to make deals in the dark, the job you have is to shine a light into it. And I think it's one of the important responsibilities you have as a senator. I can't wait to grow RFK Jr. Oh my God.
Yes, I'm living for that day. The other question I had is just again, new baby, you're coming home, struggling to feed them, right? So you're breastfeeding, you're bottle feeding, whatever you're doing, and then you seek help. So I'm in network, you come, you pay your premiums, you see an in-network provider. And then if you're Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan, then the bill comes in and they say, well, we will cover lactation, we'll cover this, but only if you're admitted to the hospital. So even though you saw somebody, if you're United Healthcare, we'll pay for the mom, we're not going to pay for the baby, but your provider has to see them both. So in terms of, again, money that your opponent is accepting from these companies, what does it actually look like for the working parent, just, again, sleep deprived, trying to feed their babies? Medicare for all sounds like a dream, right? It sounds like something that I'm going to probably have to pay more for. What does that actually look like for working families when it sounds like nothing that could ever be accomplished in the United States?
Well, we have to believe we can get there. And I just want folks to imagine the experience. Oftentimes, one of the most traumatic aspects of having a baby is the bill.
Yes.
And imagine that you just took that burden off. Then you think about all of the months before during pregnancy, all of the barriers that exist in front of just getting basic prenatal care. And for a lot of moms who are getting prenatal care on Medicaid, they know they're second-class citizens in the healthcare system. They know they're going to be discriminated against. I've seen it with my own eyes. So imagine that goes away because you're an equal healthcare citizen. Now imagine you don't have to worry about that bill, and imagine we're funding things like lactation consultants at home, like nurse visitation programs for everyone. These are things that are evidence-based, that save money, and more importantly, save lives. And these are things that we could fund, and we could fund them easily. We could fund them for everybody, and it would be net benefit for all of us. Now, what do you pay for it? A lot less than you pay for the current system. I just saw a TikTok this gentleman did. He had twins, and his twins were born premature, and they had to be admitted to the NICU.
Yep, they sent the baby bill.
Yep, they sent them twin A and twin B.
Yep.
I mean,
just for existing.
The
just
audacity. And he made this comment, he's like, nothing is more American than
Yep.
getting a medical bill.
They didn't even have names yet.
And so, imagine being freed of that.
Yeah.
Right? So that's what we're fighting for. And look, I know it feels very far off because we're all, in some respects, victims to a Stockholm syndrome for a system that just breaks us. We don't have to live like this. And I know for a lot of people, they're like, well, this is the best we could ever have. Well, it is if we're not willing to fight for better. We're willing to accommodate politicians who take money from corporations that are trying to get out of having to pay for the violations that they had because they couldn't keep their facilities clean and babies died. If that's the best we think we can do, We can go on and vote like it, but I'm just not willing to give up that nihilism because I remember what it felt like to put my little baby to sleep, and I want that for everybody.
My last question for you is, in Michigan, if you are a black mother, you are about 2.5 times more likely to die after having a baby. So in terms of the racial disparities that exist within the healthcare system, it's a lot of the DEI talk is like, we're removing that, it's gonna be the same for everybody. It cannot be the same for everybody because health outcomes are not the same for everybody. So as senator, what do you plan to do about that?
You know, I know I always go back to Medicare for all, but one of the big reasons I fight for Medicare for all is because we have a multi-class healthcare system. Even if you have Medicaid, which is a lifeline program, it reimburses at half the rate.
Sure does.
And because it reimburses at half the rate, many providers aren't required to provide care, and if they provide it for you, to provide it in a way that is consistent with the fact that you're basically a half-paying customer. Imagine every single person had equal healthcare citizenship. That falls hardest, though, on black communities, right? Urban communities. Communities that are systematically poor as a function of long-held deep racism and structural racism. So Medicare for all might mean everybody has guaranteed healthcare. But when you are more likely to get sick, that means that you are more likely to need healthcare. And that means that having guaranteed healthcare is that much more important. And it's that much more important at the handoff of life, right? Because the other statistic you didn't cite is that black babies are nearly twice as likely to die. And so that handoff of life is critical. It's a big reason we did work to expand programs like RX Kids. It's a big reason that I'm fighting for Medicare for all. And it's a big reason we have to think, like, imagine we structured our public policy around asking, what gives moms and babies the best chance of living?
That's a great question.
And I think we'd have vastly different public policy than we have right now.
I agree. Can I get a quick picture?
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice
Hi,
to meet you.
Amy.
Amy from Acronym System. How are you?
Thank you guys
Hi,
so much.
Thank you. I'm doing good.
That was fun to ask. Like,
Sure.
it's fun to hear. I feel like so many other
Ask you a quick question, and then I will let you go on to the next people. But you touched on it a little bit when we were outside. You spoke about how some of us are feeling. I come from a millennial generation, so I have.
What year were you?
I grew up. 1988 was when I was born, so I graduated in 07 in high school. So I was a little bit behind. But
I'm like an elder millennial.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, those
So,
like the weird
for,
millennials.
For us, it's like we've seen, for lack of a better word, clusterfuck after clusterfuck, things that have happened. Wars, we've had 9/11, we've had all of these different things that have pushed us back so far to where this generation feels extremely hopeless. And when it got to the point where it was Michigan and we're starting to fight against Donald Trump, we've had this for multiple years now. There have been protests, there have been us trying to sound the alarm online, getting people to listen to history. What would you say to those people that are getting burned out, that are getting tired, that are trying to fight as much as possible, but they're starting to lose the momentum?
Yeah.
Is there something that you think would bring solace to us or suggestions as to how we could continue to fight?
For whatever reason, history chose you to be alive now. And maybe it's just my faith tradition. There's a verse that says, God does not test somebody with a burden they cannot carry. And I reflect on that all the time. You know what I mean? And in other traditions they say you were made for a moment such as this. And I also think that as tough as it is now, we got a choice about what we hand off. And for those of us who see the manifestation of our future in front of us in the form of like a small person, I think it makes the immediacy of this work that much more alive. And if you don't, there's going to be somebody who asks you, a niece, a nephew, a kid, like, what'd you do? And I really want to have a good answer. You know what I mean? I really want to have a good answer. Not because the work is easy, not because, you don't want to like just give in, but because they deserve to know that you fought for them, even when they weren't there. So, for me, like, it is actually a very explicit conversation, because I got an 8-year-old and 3-year-old. And I love those little girls, and I don't get to see them nearly as much as I would like. And the only thing that justifies the frustration and like the ache of not being with your kids is being like, I'm doing something that is ultimately in your best interest. And my doing this is important for you, even if you might not know it. And someday I hope I get to have a conversation with you about where I was and what I was doing. And I think in moments like this, I think like my kids when they come out, they're like, oh, you're doing something. Like, this is important. But what's beautiful about like this work is, if you do have your kids, like, teach them in the way. You know what I mean? Bring them along. And if you don't, just remember that at some point, like, this is existential for them. So the work is hard. Find the self-care. That's the best thing our generation brought to people is like, hey, self-care. Do the things that you need to do to keep you going. And then figure out how you pace yourself in the work. And then find those things that are touch points for you. What I'll tell you is like actually one of the hardest things about training is that like you get to see a lot of people, but like I actually really enjoy the service part. And in my old job, I used to be able to like deliver, right? Like we did this thing, it's done, somebody's benefiting. In this work, like it's all about the potential for delivery. So what I try to do is just like find ways to like deliver in my own way that just connect me to like that thing that matters to me. So, but like this is our generation's burden, and it's also our generation's privilege.
Thank you so much for that.
My name is William Alexander.
Good. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, brother. I've been seeing, this is the first time I've actually gone to Senator rather. I've been watching politicians play games my entire life.
Here we go.
It's really comforting to see you a professional fight for the actual people. Thank you for your care. Thank you for your commitment. I'm not going to bother you too much.
No bother. Appreciate you coming.
Can I do anything for you? I'm a photographer, movie maker.
I mean,
graphic designer.
She's the one.
We're in touch.
Yeah.
She's the one.
We're in touch now.
So look, I appreciate you, and we'd be honored to have you. I'm grateful, and the thing I'll ask you to do is just like pray for me that I leave this with the same perspective on it that I started. Not I've watched too many people come in with good intentions and leave with cynicism or standing. You know what I mean? So yeah,
You got
appreciate
it.
you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.
Can you take a quick picture of me?
Do it.
Please.
Got a whole bunch.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Hi,
Jackie, how are you?
Good. Best for last? I don't know.
Always,
We're gonna
always.
find out, right?
I'm up.
Well, he's still up.
I'm here. I'll let you do your thing first.
Second best to last.
You're a grizzled vet, so you're good.
All right.
What's your channel?
I'm independent.
Sweet. Do you have like a blog or like Instagram with photos?
Yes,
Cool.
I do. I'm on Instagram.
Sweet. Yeah, let me follow you.
But I want to make, so Abdul, I want to go on a candidate.
That's badass. Yeah, see, right. Like, isn't that cool? Yeah.
For you.
Isn't that the coolest? Right.
Well, I want to.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. American Carson, no name, and he did that. I thought it was like the coolest album. Yeah. So it's cool. It's like he was this comedian. He did the voice in The Simpsons career after, but like 20 years, like the most epic album designer.
And then you're located where? Where's your actual home base? And then what type of...
I'll try to ask your question.
Somebody wants to feel hope in the America we can live together.
I love that. Okay. And then what is your... I had you printed out, and I had you in your pretty black, which I'm sure you're dying out in your black t-shirt today.
Today was definitely a black t-shirt.
But I used you as an example because I knew the most out of you. And I want to hear your Tinder-esque 30-second about me pitch that also incorporates your values, your missions, but like in that cute Tinder profile way if you're capable.
All right, we go?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can ready, set. I'm a doctor who realized the real pathologies were political and tried to take them on by getting money out of politics, putting money in your pocket, passing Medicare for all to build a few together.
That's perfect. Look at you. All right. And then what are your interests? Like, these can be hobbies that we can turn into political things, or you can just, like the Medicare for all.
I mean, I feel like
guys.
at this point, everybody knows. I like to bike. I like to lift. I like to water ski. I like food, a lot of food, specifically high protein food. I like cherry white Gatorade.
I saw that on the stage, yes. So I would say you like healthy moose tracks as well, too. I had my husband buy it for me
It's the
after
correct
that
answer.
video.
I mean, really, it's like the correct answer. Especially like old. I feel like old school moose tracks.
With the moose on it.
Yes!
He asked
Did
me
you not
which
leave
one.
moose?
Yes. And
I downloaded the photo and I was like, find the one with the moose on it, and he couldn't find it. I don't think it exists anymore.
I think, you know what it is? I actually think, somebody told me this, I can't verify it, but like, they just like bought the moose, and then they licensed the rights, and then of course, it's never as good. I was like, what a story about America.
Oh, it's so typical. Okay, so based off of those interests, outside of the moose track, we would say healthy items. So we want our voters to be healthy. We love outdoors and nature. We love the small businesses.
Yep.
All of those types of things. What else?
I love a good outfit.
You do.
You know,
You do.
It's funny, everybody's like, oh, you wear the same thing every day. I'm like, because it's the most efficient version of the best outfit. But you know, like I like to get suited and booted. You know, I like to think I look pretty nice on the base there.
You did look very nice on the base.
I was like very much searching for that compliment.
You're very
I
welcome.
mean, Fetterman and Platten are both casual dressers. All I'm saying, you're not. There's a
Well, let's
difference.
not make that comparison. Nope. I gotta start dressing up now.
That dig that I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to ask about that, but it was such a weird dig that she said with Mike Rogers, that you look like Mike Rogers. It was the weirdest
I don't
thing.
understand. I was like, do I? Weird. Okay.
Okay, so lastly,
That's like a glow up for Mike Rogers.
that AI photo dig goes. Okay. And then, so your previous job,
Health director point.
correct, where we did a whole bunch of things with Parks Kids, we got glasses on kids, all those beautiful things. Your zodiac sign, which I already know.
Scorpio.
It's my husband's sign.
Is that a red flag? Sorry.
For a lot of other people. Probably not me. But, and then
It's
last,
like, unless, if you can match my intensity, then
Yeah.
very much a green flag.
yeah. And then last but not least, and you can attribute this to your voters if you would like, what's your love language?
Oh, that's interesting. Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Which kind of tracks, to be fair.
It does. You just wanted that compliment. It just, yes, it was a wonderful job. And then my last fun question is, if you could be any animal from around the world, aquatic, mammal, whatever, anytime, what would you be? And why?
Probably an orca.
An orca.
Yeah.
Because you take it out to billionaires?
Yes.
You didn't think
Together.
about that.
But also like majestic, but also about the business. Right? You always got like you're building a team. And then the other thing I love about orcas is that, like, you know, orcas are matriarchal.
Yeah.
And the lead hunter, here's something interesting. So they eat sharks.
Yes.
And shark skin is really tough. And so what happens is the oldest orca's teeth end up becoming unable to actually penetrate the skin. But here's what's interesting.
Yeah.
They're like us in the sense that they value intellect and experience more than just raw capacity. And so what happens is the eldest mother orca will orchestrate the hunt. And then what will happen is they'll basically like tear up the meal and let her eat it. But it's like she's still the boss, even though she can't actually bite the animal herself. And it's like really interesting in the sense that they like venerate like experience and respect like what an elder brings to the table.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I've been.
I like that. Is that your favorite animal then too?
I don't know. Like, there's a lot of really cool animals out there.
Okay,
I'm kind of like an animal nerd.
Yeah.
Peregrine falcons.
Yeah.
Very, very cool.
I just saw some at work earlier today.
Really?
I don't know robins right
Yeah.
now. Yeah.
Or like passerine birds.
Yes.
Super smart.
All right, cool. Well, that's it. Thank you. I told you fun stuff today. So.
A lot of fun.
I got two very inconsequential quick questions.
Okay.
First,
really quick.
Who are
really
Shannon
quick.
and Jack?
That's a good question. I don't even know. Thanks for remembering my shoes, by the way. I'm honored.
Bro, you got the best shoes.
Thank you. I'm curious. So, real quick, obviously you're running for Senate, but the governor's race might have some meaning if there's some enthusiastic Republican candidate that could get out the vote. Would you rather run against John James or the charming Perry Johnson, or have them be at the top of the ticket? Do you have a preference?
What an interesting question. That's definitely something I have not thought. Either way, I think the Democrats going to walk the floor. You know, it'll be interesting to get dog walked statewide again. So, you know, there's that.
That might be fun. Last question. You worked well with Mike Duggan. You called him out when there were some environmental issues for kids, spoke truth to power, but a lot of people feel he's been a decent mayor of Detroit. You endorsed him in 2021. Would you seek his endorsement if you get the nomination? He might be able to get some independent support, or are you just kind of focused on your own race?
Well, I'm focused on my race, obviously, but you know, I think a lot of folks have looked to him around the work that I did, and I think having him show up and say, "Look, Abdul fought for the things he fought for, and also disagreed righteously," right? So I'm not afraid to call you out, and I think what folks should understand from me is like I'm going to say what I need to say, and so I think you can speak to both of those things.
Cool. That's all I got. Well put. Thank you. You're the best. Thank you. See you soon.
Hi, friends, and appreciate it. Hey, friends, how are you? Hi. I've met you. Thanks. How are you?
Take care. Good to meet you. Let's keep in touch. Those are some badass shoes yourself, by the way. I like the gold. Those are cool.
What about wearing pants?
Nah, yeah, I'm sweating a lot. Ugh, I regret dressing up. I feel stupid for doing it. Well, good to meet you. Okay, keep in touch.
What's your name again? I'm sorry.
Dodge, like the car. Strange name.
I'm William Alexander.
Nice to meet you, William.
Take care.
Take care. You too. All right, guys. We are all... Oh, sorry. I forgot to ask your question. Sorry. I feel bad. It slipped my mind. Next time, there's going to be some opportunity. So that was the deal. That was a really cool rally. I'm going to give Abdul Sayed's campaign full credit for being transparent, for being accessible, for being friendly and open and accessible to an independent person in the press, i.e. me. A lot of campaigns are not like that. A lot of campaigns will throw you out, will be really hostile to you. So in terms of transparency and making yourself available to the non-mainstream media, I'm going to give Abdul an A+. So A+ for his transparency. Again, not all campaigns are like that, guys. So this campaign, very accessible to me, very kind to me, kind to independent media. So I have a lot of respect. Mallory's campaign was too. So I'll give them respect, but they have ceased to be. So this parrot is no more, as Monty Python once said. Anyway, guys, please do subscribe. Hope you have a good one. Bye-bye.